Last Saturday, I watched Hallmark's The Perfect Setting, starring Laci J, Mailey and David Elsendoorn. And as I had mentioned before it was aired, I was a little on the fence about whether or not I thought she was ready to star in her own movie, because up until now, I thought she was better suited in a supporting role. In Chesapeake Shores, for example, she had a great ensemble cast, and together they worked very well. But this time, she did not disappoint. I thought she was amazing, and the story, not to mention the setting, see what I did there? Were just beautiful. So, what's it about? Well, let's dive right in and talk about it. Hi, I'm Stephanie, and welcome to the Magical Movie Club. As I just mentioned, this past week we watched The Perfect Setting, which opens with a dream sequence. It reminded me a little bit of how Sweet Home Alabama opened, complete with our main character falling asleep at work.
Abby!
Laci J. Mailey's character is envisioning her life as a superstar jewelry designer. In reality, she does repair work for a top-of-the-line jewelry store. And when she wakes up, we find out she's meeting with the Duchess to present her with a now fully restored watch.
What is new?
We also find out she has a sketchbook of her own original designs, but she hasn't had an opportunity to physically make any of them because the jewels themselves, well, they're expensive.
You couldn't use, like, the cheaper stuff. Okay.
So she's working here to save some money in the hopes that maybe one day she'll finally make it as a big-time jewelry designer.
I was wondering if you have time, I'd love to show you some of my other designs.
Little does she know she's about to have that opportunity when she gets a phone call from a Belgium bank informing her that her grandfather's jewelry business over there has fallen behind on what I assume is a loan with him.
Abby van der Brink?
This is Jules Peters from Belfius Bank of Antwerp.
And she's needed to help find a way to save it. And now we know why she heads over to Belgium. Or more specifically, Antwerp, the Diamond District. As soon as she arrives, we see that there's a stark contrast between Van den Brink's, which is her grandfather's somewhat small, old-world style jewelry store, and Remy & Sons, a modern, more cutting-edge store, and one that is arguably their biggest competitor. We actually learn that this competition runs much deeper than that. Every year there's a jewelry designing festival, including a competition that's like the Michelin star for jewelers.
You're more than capable of not only entering but winning.
And Abby's grandfather had a history of winning that competition for many years, but he's getting older and he's having a little hard time keeping up with everything. And the Remys have been kind of taking over in recent years.
I believe we took the victory that year, and the year before, and the year before.
Well, this year, the younger generation is competing as both Abby and Alexander have entered. And over the course of the movie, we learn more about each of these characters as they grow closer as well. Abby's love of jewelry designing sort of skipped a generation. We learn that her father was a Navy man who met her mother when he was stationed in Belgium. Now he's a captain of a cruise ship and she's the pastry chef. Her mother really never had an interest in the family business. Alexander is one of two sons, hence the name.
It's Remy and Sons, but you're only one son. Why the plural?
But his brother, who was apparently a very skilled jewelry designer in his own right, fell in love and moved away to Cleveland, leaving the business behind. Alexander, however, has a talent for running the business side.
Design is just not my strong suit, as they say.
And he's been responsible for their success in marketing and essentially keeping up with the times.
Allow the customers to view detailed information about the gems, including craftsmanship.
Over the course of the movie, the two of them learn how to pool their strengths together to help one another. He helps her design a website and some other marketing strategies for the Van den Brinks, and she helps him tap into his creative side.
Which I know is there, it's just lying dormant.
But when her grandfather and his dad find out,
Our families can never know.
let's just say the sparks fly, as clearly they do not trust one another.
Don't know, she could be using you.
Alexander is nothing like Peter.
And it turns out it's with good reason. Later in the movie, we find out that Mr. Remy does something unethical to win the competition, and it creates a rift between father and son.
It's not right.
Before that happens, though, I loved her quick thinking in this one scene when they were trying not to be seen together, and suddenly she starts a fight with him when his father shows up unexpectedly.
You have some nerve, Mr. Remy.
But they couldn't resist dancing together at the Carrots and Cupid's ball. Isn't that a cute name? And they were spotted and called out for it.
Alexander!
Abby, what
What
is
is this?
They both got an earful about how they had to be careful and the importance of winning the competition. And yeah, they were put under a lot of pressure.
I didn't ask for you to put me in the competition.
But that didn't dissuade them in any way.
Yes, my magic suit is pajamas. Don't judge me.
Now, I'm not going to give away too much of the ending this time, but I really enjoyed this one. And I think maybe it's because there was a little bit of character growth in all of them.
And I want to thank you for helping me to see that I was wrong.
And one of the things I appreciate the most in a good love story is seeing how the two complement each other when they're together.
And that's how it's done.
Abby and Alexander appreciated each other's strengths, and not only did they develop feelings for one another, I think they knew that they were better together.
You're amazing.
And I could also see that in the end, Abby chose to stay in Belgium not only for the Vandenbrinks, but also for Alexander.
I had already decided to stay.
Not everything worked out quite the way she expected, but it all worked out. As for a rating, I'm giving this one a 4 out of 5. If I have one critique about this movie, it's that I was left wondering how they would keep their own businesses thriving when ultimately their families were still competitors. I wish that one question had been resolved for me. But overall, it was a very enjoyable movie and one that I would certainly recommend. Well, I think that wraps up my review of The Perfect Setting. Next up, I'll be reviewing Hallmark's An Unexpected Valentine, starring Laci J and Robert Buckley. An interesting pairing, don't you think? We've got the Queen of Hallmark, who, in my opinion, hasn't made anything lately that quite measures up to some of my favorites, like A Royal Christmas or Christmas in Rome, with not so serious but fun Robert Buckley. If you're interested, check back next week where we'll talk all about it. Until then, and as always, thank you so much for being a part of the Magical Movie Club. If you like this too and want to see more, please let me know by hitting the like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you're interested, I have links to the preview video as well as the movie page for more details about The Perfect Setting in the description below. I'll be back next week to chat more about our favorite magical movies.
Okay, it's official. We're an unmitigated disaster.